Well, thank you. And can I firstly acknowledge Rabobank for their support of agriculture in Australia. Of all the traditional banks here, they are the ones that are exposed solely to agriculture. They are having faith and confidence in you solely. They haven't spread their asset risk across home loans or commercial loans. They've gone straight to agriculture because they believe in agriculture in this country. And we need more capital in this country, not less. And we have a good story to sell. We've always had challenges in agriculture. And I can tell you, as somebody that's been Agriculture Minister for 14 months, I probably will face them as soon as I became it. Whether it be the live trade, whether it be the drought, whether it be the Murray-Darling. Can I say, we as an industry, no matter what we say, we always work through it because we're practical people. Agriculture is made up of practical people with practical solutions. And I can say with great honour that for the first time in our nation's history, we are about to deliver the biggest environmental program of our nation's history, the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. And I need to acknowledge Noel Blair, who I think is here today, a good friend of mine. This is a significant move for our nation. This gives certainty to 2 million Australians. For the first time in our nation's history, we've had all basin states in the Commonwealth agree on the management of that river. It's not perfect. It's not the best plan, but it's the best one we're going to get. And you want to blow it up, we're going to get a worse plan. But it took leadership, it took courage, and Noel Blair had that. We took the politics and the name-calling out of it, and we gave people certainty. That's our job as politicians, not to score cheap political points, but to get outcomes. Because ultimately, the Australian people don't really care who delivers it, they just want outcomes. And that's about leadership. And that's something that Noel Blair can leave a legacy along with the other basin state ministers in being able to do that. And I have to acknowledge also Tony Burke, my shadow opponent in the federal parliament, took his leadership as well to reach out across the aisle to make sure we gave you certainty. If it's live trade, an industry that's faced so many challenges over the last 7 or 8 years. Instead of being reactive, we now have to be proactive. And while what we saw in March on the Awassi was appalling, what we had to do was reset the industry, not just with science, but with practical application of common sense, putting independent observers on boats to give truth and proof, making sure that now we're going to have vets that are independently appointed to companies to give confidence and transparency to the Australian public. Because public sentiment has left us on live trade. So we have to rebuild it. We have to rebuild it with practical solutions that we in the agricultural sector can provide to rebuild that, to maintain an industry that we need. Because let me tell you that if it's not our sheep, if it's not our cattle, it'll be sheep and cattle from another nation that doesn't have the standards and values that we do. We're Australians. We can do it better than anyone else. We have to prove it every day of the week, and that's what we intend to do. But we shouldn't talk ourselves down. I know the drought. In fact, as someone from Western Queensland, I've got a little bit of a smile on my face because there's some rain coming through my electorate today and over the last couple of days. We've had drought, we've had floods. But we shouldn't talk ourselves down. We shouldn't perpetrate our own misery. We've taken agriculture from a $34 billion industry to a $60 billion industry in 8 years. We should be loud and proud about what we've done and how we have done it. We produce the most environmentally and ethically sustainable food and fibre in the world, and no one should ever forget that. That comes from you. That comes from each and every one of you. You are keeping regional and rural Australia alive by what you do and how you do it. So be proud, be loud. Make sure that everybody in metropolitan Australia understands exactly what you do and how you do it. We've had a generation drained out of regional and rural Australia because we've talked ourselves down. We've perpetrated our own misery. My family did it. My father said to me when I left school, mate, it's too hard to come back on the land, you're going to have to go and get a job. I wasn't academically gifted, so I had to get a job. Proudly, it was in the agricultural sector, in service industries. We've got to bring our young people home, and now's the time to do it. For the first time in my 42 years, agriculture is sexy again. The story of agriculture is just to add rain. There is money to be made, and we will make it. We will do the economic lifting of this nation in agriculture. We will take it from a $60 billion industry to a $100 billion industry by 2030 by investing in the smarts. A federal government's responsibility is not to do it for you. It's to put the environment and infrastructure around you to do it. So don't think I'm coming here to do it for you. You've done a lot by yourselves. My job's to put the infrastructure and the environment. That's about making sure we back ourselves as the smarts of the 21st century, to build the water infrastructure of the 21st century, to use the science and technology, not to say why we can't do it, but how can we do it? We're better. We're better than saying we can't do it. We can, and I'm about to cut a cheque if someone wants to do it. We've got $1.5 billion in grants and $2 billion in loans for people that want to have a crack. That's what a government should do, to empower you to make a living. You'll hear us talk about us creating 1.2 million jobs over the last term of this government. You know what? We didn't create them, you created them. All we did was put the environment and you to do it. Because the jobs that we create, you pay for anyway. But it's the environment, that's our job to put around you. It's the trade agreements that we put in place, that for the first time in my 40-odd years, you're actually going to get a reward for your effort. Getting real returns at the farm gate. And as someone that represents regional and rural Queensland, 43% of the state of Queensland, 10% of the Australian landmass, if agriculture's not strong, my small communities aren't strong. So what blows my hair back is to make sure you make a quid and that flows back through regional Australia. So it's important we continue to put that environment around you. And the trade agreements that we put in place now with Indonesia, couple that with China, Japan, South Korea, the TPP-11, a $13.7 trillion marketplace, all for you to spread the risk, to give you that. It's about making sure we give you the infrastructure, inland rail, the roads, the technology, the digital connectivity. That's our job. It's about tax cuts to small businesses, because farmers and businesses that are in agriculture are small businesses. And if we put money in your pocket, you invest back in your business and you put it in someone else's pocket that we tax anyway. It's just common sense. But what I want to do is make sure we bring our young people home. We bring that next generation back to agriculture. They have the confidence, and their parents have the confidence to say there is a future in agriculture, whether it be at the farm gate or whether it be in services to agriculture. So what I've said, our research and development corporations have done a fantastic job in taking us and helping us go from a $30 billion to a $60 billion industry in 8 years. But are they fit for future? And what shackles can I take off them to have the cutting edge science and technology to make sure that you make the money? That's my job, and that's what I've asked the research and development corporations to do. But on Tuesday, I announced a very significant move for us in about our sustainability and about our product Australia. I announced a biodiversity stewardship program where your stewardship of your land should be rewarded. So what I'm undertaking is to do a pilot to allow you as farmers, as agriculture sector, to tap in, to hopefully tap in, once we get the methodology right, to tap in to the Climate Solutions Fund, $2 billion. But what I want to do is not have a blunt instrument like we've got at the moment in terms of a carbon farming. It's a blunt instrument where we've got unintended consequences of large tracts of land locked up and there's no biodiversity improvement. Let's be smarter than that. Let's have a sophisticated product that where if you lock country up or you improve your biodiversity while you're doing that, you should be rewarded with a premium by the federal government to make that carbon abatement that we owe the world. But let me also say the last piece of that, in summing up, is to have a globally and nationally recognised certification scheme of that, so that when you put your product on the market, either here in Australia or around the world, that seal, that biodiversity seal of approval, commands a higher price for you because of your stewardship of your land. That's why I say we need to be loud and proud about what we've done and what we are going to do. It is brand Australia. It'll make you money, but more importantly, it'll make Australia a greater nation. Thanks for all your attention.